Start streaming now. So there we
Oh,
go.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
Too late.
Joke.
Too late.
Yes.
So, do I sound okay to you guys? I fiddled around with some of my audio levels.
Yeah, you sound fine to me.
Cool. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Basically to stop me from blowing out my microphone.
Oh.
And basically try and tweak it a little bit so that it just sounds like at a good level for the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think after our Skype fiasco,
I
may have overcorrected.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, did you guys get a chance to see the screenshots that I posted?
I did.
Cool.
I did. They look amazing.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
Implemented since then has been a fishing system.
Oh.
The fishing system does not have sound effects because the creator of that bit of code that I installed never bothered to include sound effects.
Can you make your own?
Well, it's a matter of, like, I can always put in sound effects, but it's a matter of getting them to play correctly, which is the issue. I have reached out to said creator. They haven't gotten back to me. The actual plugin was made a couple years ago, so I don't know if that person is still active anymore. Worst case scenario is, I have to look for something else. But
my only nitpick is, I think it's the first picture of like the house and the trees and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. The house just seems like it doesn't match the style of the trees and the rest of the map. Know what I'm saying?
No, because I did them all in the same style.
Did you?
I did.
It just, I don't know. It seems out of place to me. Maybe it's just the colors. I don't know.
I mean, it might be the colors. But,
That's a little thing. That's it.
Yeah. And then it's trying to figure out what my plan is is not setting any goals, but just saying I'm gonna do one thing every day. Doesn't matter how big or how small that one thing is, but to do one thing. So like yesterday's thing was fishing system. The day before was like make Iggy's graphics. The day before that, it'll be like, I mean, it could be something as simple as like implement a tier set for armor, which is like making 6 items. Or it could be make a map, or make an enemy graphic.
Yeah.
So, and the idea is that if I can break it out into very tiny little pieces that may take anywhere from 15 minutes to a half hour, maybe up to an hour, then I'm not getting burnt out, and it's something different every time, because it's not like for bigger extended portions, it would be like, okay, well, I'm not going to do something that's like implement an area of the world. It'll be make one map. Or, instead of saying like, I'm going to, develop, all of the quests for this one game, it might be like, okay, figure out the first step of this one quest chain in order to do that. I mean, it may simply boil down to, I'm going to make a recipe for a single item, because that's the amount of time that I have to work on it today.
I've discovered a new recipe.
Yeah, cooking's going to be a big thing. Cooking and alchemy are going to be big things.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was Final Fantasy 15. One of your characters, like, he would cook for the group when you would camp out and stuff, and sometimes
yeah.
Figure out, and he'd I discovered a new recipe.
Yep. Oh, I have to remember to also post.
Yes.
Or set up a post that we're going live.
Yes.
Live in the chat. for the 8-Bit Adventures podcast on twitch.tv/8-Bit Adventures. Right, meow. Oh, I hate how my phone auto capitalizes Twitch. Boom.
Why is that bad? Does it not bring the link up or something?
I don't know. It's just annoying because URLs aren't capitalized. I mean, when you enter them in, it automatically converts them to lowercase. And then I'm share it. Boop. There we go. Cool. So, yeah. I don't know what I still don't know what we're going to do for Friday for Tales of Jamora.
I still don't know.
I don't have anything planned.
Oh boy.
This will be just like other campaigns some days. Other professionally done games some days. Yeah. I have some ideas. It's just I have to sit down. Thankfully, so I actually have Friday off of work.
Nice.
As Megan's having a procedure done.
Oh wait, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So I'm just taking the whole day off to help her with that, but that means I'll have plenty of time to figure stuff out. So, not that I could. Work has been slow enough still, even with the fact that one of our vendors that does our paywall broke our site, and everybody blamed advertising on it, because I'm always the first person to get blamed whenever anything goes wrong, because they're like, oh well, it's clearly our ads, they're causing the problems. No, it never is. Yeah, despite that, I have spent most of the day like both busy in that I am waiting around for people to do their jobs and get me code that I can then send to other people for them to do their jobs and upload said code. And the fact that like it's busy in that I'm basically waiting for people to do stuff, so I never know when it's going to come in.
I'll write you some code. I can do Hello World. The very first thing you learn.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what discipline or what programming language. It's always Hello World, and it's like,
I don't even remember that much.
I just know every CS course that I took with different programming languages, the first thing that you do is learn how to program Hello World.
Yeah.
It might be part of a bigger project, but that's always a component of it. Like even in graphics, like Hello World was like part of it was like how to render it.
Right.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, there was a point where I was like, I'm going to do programming in one of my many different major switches.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, this is awful. Why would anybody ever do this?
Yeah.
This is the most boring thing in the world.
Yeah.
At least to me, it felt so tedious and boring and uninteresting.
Yeah. I feel all of those things.
Why would you want to do this all day, every day?
I don't know.
I mean, some people are probably super into it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Not for me. Did you see Pillars of Eternity 2 is getting a turn-based mode?
Really?
Yeah.
I think I like that.
I do not.
I tried to get back into it the other day because I was like, oh, you know what? My computer might actually be able to play it now. And I downloaded it, and like, first off, my save file, the last one that I had saved or whatever, is apparently like right before the end conversation with Eris.
Of course, yeah.
So it's basically like, and I figured it would have been like, oh, well, okay, like I should be able to like cancel out of it, and then like, you know, like it also doesn't let you cancel out of the conversation to then like go back to the title screen. You have to play through the conversation.
I also,
and I was like, Taliesin, you're wonderful, but I've already had this conversation with you. I can't do it again.
I've said this before, but the reason I don't go back and play all those DLCs is I just hate Pillars of Eternity 2 is a game when you beat the game, the story's done. Like there is no expanding on that story.
Well, and here's the thing though, is like it doesn't take place afterward, which is the thing.
Right.
So it's like,
right.
So then
it's like, oh, while you were adventuring, you did all this stuff too.
Yeah, and that
I
like
hate DLC. Like,
yeah,
that's just me. It's just because I don't know. I want to see an expansion because I really liked all those characters. So I want to see like afterwards what those people do. Like,
yeah.
But I get it. I also like that the game ends when it ends.
Oh yeah.
How about just don't do DLC? I don't know. It's a weird. I'm sitting on the fence on it. I have feelings both ways.
Yeah. I'm getting into a lot more just random encounters at sea. Ugh. I had like 3, and I'm just trying to get to this one island.
Well, like fighting boats.
It was.
I did not like the boat combat in that game.
I liked it.
It was just boring.
What was it? It was some kind of like storm off in the distance, kind of.
Oh yeah.
It's basically like it wasn't combat or anything like that. It was just like weird encounters, and then my sailors would gain experience from it. So I was like, sure, whatever. I mean, I don't need it because
I mean there were a couple DLCs. Level. I think all DLCs. One of them was like I think it was that whatever the god who wanted everything to end.
Yeah. It's basically like his realm invades or something. It's like there's an.
I'm into that.
There's like an iceberg.
Like weird, it's like
that grows in the middle of this tropical
metaphysical stuff. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then one of them is just an arena where you fight harder and harder fights. Like, oh, that would be cool. I like that everything's kind of real time in that, just because I like the chaos of that. I mean, I'm always hitting the space bar to pause and be like, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna have you cast Fireball, but hold on a second. I'm switching it up. Like everything's changed with this one thing that happened.
Yeah, I think the quest that I'm currently doing is there was some ghost that showed up and was like, "Oh, the
ghost
hunting spirits have, I don't know, done something on the island, and you need to go and talk with people there." I was like, "Fine, sure, whatever. I'm playing this to do more quests, so fine, let's go." And then it turns out like the hunting spirits are that god of the hunt. And you show up on the island, and basically you fall unconscious, and he's like, "Go away! We don't like you, Watcher." And so I was like, "Fine, I'll go away." And then I was like, "Okay, we're not going away."
I really want to see the outcome of my choices at the end of that game, but that's not just a DLC. That's a whole nother game that has to deal with all that.
That's Pillars of Eternity 3.
Yeah, because that's all. That is literally world and universe changing stuff and decisions you make at the end.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to see I made that choice. I wanted to see what comes of that.
Yeah. I think what I might do is when I've kind of cleared out a backlog and I have enough time to start over, is I might just start over. And now that I've played through a lot of the other the main character backstories, is just make a Vox Machina crew. And then just play through the game again and do the DLC content and stuff.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to stand and play the same game twice.
Yeah, I have that. I have that issue.
I've experienced it. Very rarely will I go back and play something.
Yeah.
And
yeah, the only reason why I'm doing Path of Exile is because they added 6 more acts after I last played. I'm like, wait a minute, no, these games are 3 acts, maybe 4. What do you mean act 12? I'm like, I just defeated and killed off this giant that it's just called the Beast, but it's some giant otherworldly far realm kind of entity that has infected our reality and is trying to consume all of reality into itself.
All right.
What am I going to do now? And apparently they just keep upping it by oh, now it's you kill Innocence, who is the god of light and purity or whatever, because he's the head of the church that caused all the problems. And by doing so, you unlock Sin, who's supposed to be the bad guy, but he's...
That's Final Fantasy X, bro.
You would like this, Josh, because Sin's out to kill all the other gods and free humanity.
Heck yeah.
I was just
I saw that. My choice in Pillars.
I saw that, and I was like, Oh, okay. So it's Josh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very easy to figure out what path I took at the end of Pillars.
Yeah. I can't remember what I picked. Because I've had that conversation like 5 times now because I kept playing through it going like, how do I get back to the title screen?
Well, that was basically a point of no return period once you went to the end of the game.
Yeah, so I finally figured out that I had to go. There was a save marked like pre-end game, which thankfully that was nice that they labeled it that. I wish I had seen it.
I have one save file in that game when I play it. My decisions are my decisions.
Oh, see, I still have autosave turned on, so I have like 14,
I think other than
save
that,
files.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just play my one save.
Yep. So I was joking with Courtney, but I told Megan yesterday, I was like, Megan, I have a confession to make. So remember that, I told Megan, remember that game that I said was on sale, and I was like, I'm not going to get it, I'm not going to get it, I'm not going to get it. And then it came off sale, and I was like, oh, maybe I should get it. And then looked and went, no, it's not on sale. Well, it went on sale again.
Did
So
you finally get
I
it?
picked up Monster Hunter World the other day.
There we go.
It went back on sale at like 30% off kind of a thing. So it was like $40.
Where'd you get it, on Switch?
I got it on Steam. It's not on
Steam?
Switch. No.
Oh yeah. Shit. How much was it?
$40.
There's too much coming out. Can't. There's
Yeah.
too much stuff I want.
I also, because they're coming out with an expansion this summer, I think. I think it's this summer. Where it's all Tundra stuff.
Yeah. Got Resident Evil 2 on Friday.
Yes. But man, they're not kidding in that, yeah, there really is like an hour of cutscenes and intros that you have to do before you actually get to play the game.
In what?
Monster Hunter World.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I said, as much as I love listening to Matt Mercer.
Oh, he's in it?
Yeah.
He's like team leader is what the character's name is. Like, I don't know if he actually has a name. It just says team leader. So it's just like, oh, okay. Hi, team leader. of the leader clan, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe it's supposed to be like Tim Ladar.
I like that. Yeah, I think you're right.
And it's mispronounced.
You were just saying it wrong. Yep.
Team leader.
What date is Kingdom Hearts?
29th.
29th?
January 29th. And Resident Evil 2, the
Friday.
completely remastered version, comes out this Friday, January 25th.
Yep.
Check your local GameStops. They're probably doing a 9 o'clock launch.
Courtney,
Thursday?
You sound so thrilled.
For both of those games, yes.
So tomorrow. Ooh.
Dude, yeah, pop in.
I didn't catch that.
I
at all.
didn't catch any of that, dude.
I said, do I take a sick day Friday?
Maybe. But we should get going.
Yes.
Because it is 7:33.
Yes, we are gonna get going. So,
Okay.
everybody ready?
Yeah.
All
Sure.
right. Going live. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming up on episode 128, Carmen Sandiego premieres on Netflix. Josh plays Y2K. Steam World Quest is announced, and much, much more on the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. We are bringing you the latest and greatest geeky news of this week, the week of January 23rd, 2019. I am your host, Sean Hayes, and with me, my co-hosts, as always, Courtney Bolin.
Hey, everybody.
And Josh York.
Final Fantasy 13 is a good game. Changed my mind.
Why would I want to change your mind?
I don't know.
I think, isn't that coming to Switch? Is that one that's coming to Switch?
It's just a very...
No,
a lot of
it's
people
Zodiac
hate 13.
Zodiac Age X and X2 are coming to Switch.
And 7 and 9.
Yeah, those are going to be coming a little bit later.
No, 8.
Or 6.
Yeah, those are all going to be coming a little bit
6
later.
is
The
on
first
SNES.
two,
Is
the
6
first two coming out are
6 was a SNES game.
6 was a SNES game.
All those other, so it might be on the store already.
Maybe there's not a whole lot of SNES games on the eShop actually.
I just know all the ones they released are all the
and actually, well, this was something that I didn't put in the notes, but apparently somebody kind of cracked some of like the Switch online code and found that like a bunch of SNES information has been added to the Switch online information, we'll say, including like a long list of game titles. So there are rumors and speculation that it could mean that we may see relatively soon, maybe like I would say perhaps this quarter, an offering of Super NES titles added to Nintendo Switch Online.
They gotta wait until they sell out their SNES minis.
Maybe. I mean, so right now, right now it's a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
I mean, if it does happen, what I didn't see was some of the third-party stuff. So like, it's like I didn't see any Final Fantasy in there. I didn't see Chrono Trigger or whatever. But I'm like, you gotta get Square on board. If you're gonna offer that stuff in there, get them on board. And if you're not gonna include it in that packaging, get them to do a bundle on the eShop for the old SNES content, because I don't want to play Chrono Trigger as a mobile version on Steam. I would want to play it on the Switch. Also Final Fantasy VI, because I've never played it.
I played a couple years back, and my save file got corrupted, and I was like, I'm not playing through half this game again.
I also don't want to play Chrono Trigger on DS.
Oh yeah,
which is like the original version, but
I think that'd be a good way to play it. I'd like it mobile like that. I mean, I guess Switch is cool.
I can't like I tried starting up Ultra Moon the other day, Pokemon Ultra Moon, so that I can finally get, my mythical Pokemon stuff registered. And I'm like, I
those
can't.
do have expiration dates on them.
I know, that's why, and I think it's tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, by the way, so yeah, that's another game that requires like 2 hours before you actually get to play the game.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, I have almost like no desire to play 3DS at this point. I can't do it.
Be crotchety old back in my day guy, but back in our day, like, you didn't have tutorials. I was talking with my roommate. My roommate's playing Zelda 2 right now on the Switch, the one that everyone hates, but he's like, I love this game. I was like, yeah, I see why. But anyways, it's like those games like were just like go.
So
they tell you what to do.
Here's some great I guess you could call them like teaching. Well, for one thing, you had instruction manuals that told you how to play the game.
Yes.
Had typically great art in them.
And they were sick. They had cool stuff.
I just heard something actually about some of the guidebooks, that the last company that was making guidebooks closed.
It wasn't guidebooks, it was just the instruction manuals.
These were actual instruction manuals that came packaged with the game.
Oh,
so it'd be like a booklet that showed like, here are the controls and everything. Like the Super Mario World instruction manual gave you all the different button combinations to do different jumps and everything like that. Kind of a thing, and like what different items did, and like here are a bunch of enemies.
Sure,
this is what
Zelda
they do.
Actually gave you like lore and story stuff.
Yes, that was big.
The instruction manual.
Same thing with Donkey Kong Country. Like they gave a rundown on all the different animal companions and like a little blurb about each one and everything, and like the different enemies. And they would often crack jokes like there was in the Donkey Kong Country 2 manual. There's a big ghost pirate, like skeleton ghost pirate thing, that only appears on like minecart levels, and the way it works is if you get hit, you die by this guy, which I mean typically works for Donkey Kong, but like and it's one of those where you need to constantly like add time, because when the time runs out, he just like plows right through you and causes you to fall off the track, and like you lose both characters, kind of a thing. So there's plus barrels and minus barrels, and they talk about how if you hit the minus barrels, you go to the minus world, kind of a thing. Oh wait, that's a different game,
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of Rare humor in there before, Rare was bad. But I mean, like in addition to instruction manuals, you then had, I'm thinking like Super Mario 64, where you were able to do all of the controls at the start of the game. What they would do is like where something was relevant, they just put a little signpost that say, and then you would have to read it and be like, oh, okay, this is a really long thing. How do I get across? Oh, there's this sign. Okay, it says how to do a long jump. Okay, well, I'm going to do a long jump.
There's some games now that are
yeah
a little deeper and have more systems that have to be somewhat explained. But
yeah,
I think there's some games where you can just like there's only so many buttons on the controller. You can kind of figure out a lot of this. There's if anybody's familiar with Ego Raptor, he does a really good video explaining this with Mega Man X and how the first level just teaches you how to play the whole game essentially without explicitly giving you tutorials or chat boxes or anything.
Yeah,
it's really good. But yeah, I'm just sorry, just being crotchety old guy.
No, I mean, believe me, it's a thing where I'm like, I just need to get to a Pokemon Center. The whole point of me starting this game is to just get these 2 specific Pokemon. So then I can then close the game and save it and just file it again until Pokemon Switch comes out. And then I can port everything over to that. Because everything else, like I already have a file saved on Moon, but these can't go on that save file.
Oh.
So that's why it's very frustrating. And it came out too late. It's like the Switch was already out at that point, and I was like, or it was like just coming out. But so yeah, moral of the story: don't make players sit through tediously long tutorial processes.
Yes.
Bad for Pokemon.
Ocarina of Time, the owl. If you accidentally hit like explain again or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was bad.
Right after you get out of the forest.
Yep.
That's about as far as I played into that game.
And the irony is, like, for Monster Hunter, like most Monster Hunter games often have the case of they don't teach you enough right at the beginning, so like new players have a difficult time. But then World is just like, we're gonna make you sit through all these cutscenes and then gradually introduce abilities to you.
Come on, pacing. Like, come on. Huge. Yeah. You gotta get your pacing.
Yeah.
Trained, guys. That's to everybody. Everywhere.
Also, another thing is don't come out of a cutscene and then your player has to run 10 feet to put you into another cutscene.
Metal Gear Solid.
Oh dear God!
Don't just have it be one cutscene. Like there's no. So I'll get into why I think about things like this a little bit later when we discuss some upcoming projects for 8-Bit Adventures. But why don't we get into this week's news, shall we?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, first up, the first official third-party D&D book for 5th edition has been announced. It is the Acquisitions Incorporated Handbook for how to run your own franchise. So, this is a project by Penny Arcade. As we know, they are the folks behind Acquisitions Incorporated, which was launched basically as a promotional show for Wizards products in 4th edition. So the entire point was to just like sell 4th edition books and like campaign adventures and stuff like that. And it kind of turned into its own thing. And so now it's just like a show that people love to watch on its own. But they decided that they wanted to do this really cool book and everything. They really have a good relationship with Wizards, so like licensing wasn't a problem. And basically they ran a Kickstarter for it, and basically like during the Kickstarter, Wizards said, hey, instead of running a Kickstarter, how about we'll just fund it and make it like official.
Nice.
And so it's going to be all cool, interesting stuff about like setting up your own franchise and like kind of further legitimizing the ACK Inc. crew as being staple figures in the Forgotten Realms. So it'll have things like that tie into like Omen being a masked lord of Waterdeep, and Jim Dark Magic and of the New Hampshire Dark Magics doing dark magic type stuff, Viari being Viari, and everything. But it's mostly for like how to, I guess, almost run your own ACK Inc. game is what it sounds like. So I'm really stoked for this. I don't know if there's been a release date for it yet, I know they've been working on it for the past 2 years. YIIK Inc. 5e book. Let's see.
So
Blah, blah,
just so I have
blah, blah,
this,
blah, blah.
just so I have this straight. So this is going to be a book about starting and having a franchise, but it's an official Wizards
It's not an
book.
official. It's not
Third
Wizards,
party.
but it's officially
okay.
licensed by Wizards and
Oh,
printed,
officially licensed by
kind of a
them.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah. It will be a physical book.
Okay.
So that's different than some of the stuff that's come out where it's been largely like on DM's Guild or something like that or whatever, where
Mhm.
that kind of means that it's like licensed by Wizards, but it's not official,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
One of the things I'm not sure is I imagine it would be is if stuff would get imported into D&D Beyond, since
I would imagine.
Penny Arcade has a good relationship with them as well. Let's see. I don't think there's been any word as to when it's coming out yet. So, but they are working on it, and it's actually gonna come out. So
Hey.
that may be, and it's basically like character positions within the company and like additional rules for that or whatever. So, people that have watched the C Team know that like there's the Documancer and the I don't know what other positions there are besides it because that one gets brought up a lot. But I know Kate Welch's character Rosie Beestinger has like another position that's some other kind of mancer that are all related to like office work. So yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool and it was relevant to our interests certainly. So yeah. All right, Courtney.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah, so I was able to binge all like 9 episodes of it at a half hour long each or 28 minutes. Um it's really good.
Yep.
It's like really really good. Um so basically, as we had kind of been like discussing like the little bits that we already knew, it does cover like Carmen's backstory and how she gets her infamous red coat and hat. Um and then it is her traveling all around the world. As we had discussed already, it is her stealing from other thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Um I think one of the things that I was most impressed by was how they realistically and like truly did cover music. So like the background music for wherever they were in the world, it actually made sense because it was, when she goes to South America, when she goes to place, I believe it was somewhere around Egypt. But like, so where she goes, like the music actually follows, as opposed to generic Western background music. Um, Another thing that I think was really cool, and I'm not sure if any of these are real, but the things that she was stealing, um, they have all sorts of different historical backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that I would like to research a little bit more, like rewatch the season and like be looking up stuff on my phone too and seeing like, oh well, is this real or is this based off of something that
Yeah.
is real? So you're not only learning geography, you're also learning like different bits of history. Even if it's in a fake world, you can still kind of,
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of the point of Carmen
yeah,
Sandiego. Always was like to help. I mean, like it was a show and everything, but the main
yeah,
point was like to help teach about like geography and history and stuff like that.
yeah. And so I think it definitely followed the originals very well. Um, I can't wait for then I hope they do another season, because it's kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And Liam O'Brien and what's her name? I want to say Mary, but there are two Critical Role guys they do an amazing job.
As villains, right?
Yes, they do play they do play villains. Yes.
Yeah.
But
And also Finn
yes.
Wolfhart, I think his name is, from Stranger Things, plays Player.
Wolfhart, yep.
Which I guess is a character actually from the game show.
So Player is basically Wade from Kim Possible.
Yeah.
Or Wade was based off of Player. One chicken and egg right there. But Mary Elizabeth McLynn is the other.
Oh yeah. Also,
yeah.
she actually just did a Handbooker Helper video today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. BT
But
dubs.
yeah. But no, I was just like, and the voice acting, like the people that they chose did absolutely amazing jobs. Like it was wonderfully creepy knowing that voice came out of Liam O'Brien. He's a very, very good bad guy.
I mean, he was Elodin Stormrage.
Yeah, no.
The worst of the worst guys.
Yeah.
I think you missed the expansion where he was a secret good guy the whole time, and he is now fighting Sargeras for eternity. 1v1ing Sargeras for eternity.
I didn't miss it. I just never forget.
He also showed that Naru what's up when he destroyed it. That was good.
Yeah.
Did all the good things.
Yeah.
Illidan saved Azeroth like 15 different times.
Sure.
It's true.
Not
like his wimpy brother. Not like his wimpy brother who's never done a thing. Oh, I'm stuck in a dream for forever.
Illidan cleaned up messes that he created. We'll leave it at that.
Still save the world. Many times.
So anyway, but yeah, Carmen Sandiego. What is your overall consensus, Courtney? How many slices? How many slices of pie cake?
Honestly, I would definitely give it 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they set up cliffhangers to still have more happen and to learn more.
So here's a question that I have: is it one continuous narrative, or is it self-contained episodes?
A little bit of both. There is an overarching.
Okay, so it's kind of like DuckTales in that regard, where like individual are kind of self-contained, but there are threads of plots throughout each of them. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Carmen being chased by this one particular cop. Who turns to an agent for another company. But like him always following her and always trying to find her is like the big overarching. And so it's similar to like almost Inspector Gadget in that way.
Yeah.
It's the whole you're looking for the big bad. Or somebody's hunting you every single episode. But yeah, no, I truly enjoyed it. And as I said, it's only like 9 episodes and they're only like 20 minutes each. So if anybody wants to, they should be able to do that. And it just should be just a couple hours.
Like 3 hours maybe. Yeah. It should be about 3 hours.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
So
that's an afternoon.
And that includes that is a good afternoon. That's a good afternoon while you're waiting for a football game to start or something.
Yeah.
So, because we are in that season.
Yeah.
It's almost over.
I was saying it's nearly done.
Yeah.
Almost over.
It is in fact. Yeah, it almost entirely done. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome.
But
So, Josh,
Oh yeah.
you've been playing Y2K.
Yeah, I
That's
have.
that basketball game, right? Right. NBA
You got it.
Y2K, whatever.
You got it.
no.
Yeah, if I send it
NBA
to my
Jam
students.
Y2K.
Oh, I wish.
Oh Jesus.
No,
Dear
this is
gods.
Y2K, a postmodern RPG. Um,
Yeah.
Indie game.
Yep.
I caught wind of this. It's actually been in development for a few years. I want to say almost 5 years. Obviously, small team. I caught wind of it maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Came out last week, and it is definitely in the vein of like Undertale, Earthbound. Definitely trying to be quirky,
Okay.
odd. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But when I saw it, I really wanted to like it because it's got a lot of like weird, odd, like existential, metaphysical BS stuff going on in the story.
That's your jam.
It is. And I was like, oh, this is like really like weird and strange. I'm like, okay, I'm totally down. So I've been playing it. Story wise, I'm still super interested in it. I like it is really like not really spoilery because you learn this like people like it starts with you come home from college, you graduate, you're a 20-something hipster dude, and it's just like you're walking around Earthbound town basically, and you see this cat and you follow it into an abandoned factory, and you find this elevator and it goes to like a place between worlds, and it's weird, and there's like these weird like Starman Earthbound looking Katamari almost looking guys, and you meet this girl, and then you're in the elevator and the elevator opens and she's torn away to another dimension, and then you're like, oh, I gotta find her. So you go on the internet, and like part of the game is going on internet forums and like
What?
and like talking about with other internet people about like weird things that are happening. It's all kind of connected. So I'm into that whole like weird thing.
I suppose like that could
That's
be
the basic
considered
story.
postmodern.
So it is.
Not quite contemporary, but
No. Well, that's modernism doesn't necessarily mean contemporary.
oh, chat rooms.
Yeah, but
And forums.
it's more like early forums. So anyways, so you go around and you collect up your party, which is just other people who live in the town or nearby towns. And,
Okay.
And you're basically trying to figure out what happened to this girl. Like, where'd she go missing? Where is she? And you learn all this other stuff about like some people spirits leave their bodies and go to this other spirit world, and there's infinite amounts of you, but this one spirit is like the same. So like there's one spirit for you, but all the people in the infinite reality share this one spirit, and like it gets really weird and doesn't make sense,
Okay.
but whatever, I'm into it because it's so strange and it's just weird metaphysical.
So to think of it this
BS.
way, it's going with like the multiple alternate realities theory.
Yeah.
But the version of you in all the multiple alternate realities shares one soul.
Has one spirit, yeah. So like there's one
spirit.
spirit, but there's other many physical yous.
Yeah.
And it gets really weird, and sometimes it doesn't make sense because I feel like it contradicts itself.
God,
but whatever.
that would make for an amazing like D&D campaign kind of a thing.
Right.
And
well,
like,
that's what
oh no,
I think...
resurrection fails because your soul went elsewhere.
Now, here's where my gripe is.
Okay.
The gameplay is just kind of boring. Like,
no.
at first, it's very novel. Like, the combat is novel and interesting at first. So, like, main character, he throws vinyl records at people because he's a hipster. That's what he does.
Yep.
And, like, there's a little vinyl thing will show up, and you got to time the hits right on the little needle that goes around it. Okay, cool. After about doing that 3 times, it's just super boring. And you're punished really, and it doesn't, and, like, it keeps going and going around until you miss, right? And then it doesn't feel like you're rewarded for big hits if you do it really well, but it feels like you really get punished if you don't do it well, as far as damage goes. So like, it doesn't feel like you're rewarded for becoming very good at the combat system. And then everybody else has their own little quirk. One girl has a keytar, and because of course this is all hipster stuff, so why not? One guy uses a camera. And so you start with a regular actual like Kodak because it's 1999 in this game. That's right. Oh yeah, this all takes place in 1999, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, so that explains quite a few things.
The Y2K.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you like when his attack comes up, the film roll will go across, and you got to time it on certain points on that.
Okay.
One dude uses like a kendo practice thing because he's basically a weeb, and
Oh no. Oh no.
you gotta. But he's actually the best character in it because he only occasionally does the weeb stuff, but otherwise he's actually pretty cool. But you hold down the A button and you like gotta charge it and like release at the exact right time.
Yep.
And if you do it really well, he'll AoE everybody instead of just one person. His sister uses a hula hoop, and you gotta like time like the two sides of the hula hoop going back and forth. Hers was really a pain because you got really punished. So you could hit it 9 times in total. There were 9 button presses.
Yep.
So, but it only counted the last ones you did. So you hit the first 7, you miss one, and then you only hit the last one. It's like, oh, you only hit 1. It doesn't count the first 7 you hit. I'm like, oof, it should just like count your total button presses.
Yeah.
Because I did perfect on the first 7, and I mucked up on.
Or it should count until you miss.
So, and she's a really good character because she has really good utility. She has an ability where instead of a single like use item on one character, she can spread that item's use to the whole party in combat.
Okay.
So like a potion, instead of just using it on herself, she could use it on everybody. And that utility is really good, but her attack, I was so inconsistent with hitting her attacks reliably. I'm like, I can't have her in my party. I'm not killing things fast enough.
Yep.
And then there's another guy who he doesn't attack, he has pacifism instead of attack. He can just protect other party members. Which interesting, but I'm gonna get to my other gripe here with the combat is enemies have too much HP. Fights just slog on forever. Instead, it doesn't feel difficult, it just feels boring. Right? And that's what made the combat to me feel like, again, novel at first and interesting, but then like you're doing all these button presses and everybody has a different system, but enemies have so much HP and like you never feel like when you do a good button hit or system well, you're not doing a lot of damage.
Yeah.
It's like it's just like menial enemies are taking forever, and then bosses are basically just HP sponges.
Yep.
You're just boring. There's no
I
challenge.
know that was kind of one of the gripes that some folks had about Octopath is that a lot of the bosses just had so many hit points.
And you can't see how many hit points they have. To know how close you are.
You can't see hit point numbers, which is fine, but whatever. I get a good hit and say, and even with all upgrades and leveling up and item improvements, I feel like I'm doing the same amount of damage. I don't feel like my characters are improving. So it's just like the gameplay itself is just like, feel like I'm forcing myself to play it when I play it, and I'm only doing fights because I don't know, and I don't even know why, because leveling up doesn't feel like I'm doing much, but that's the only reason I do it.
Yeah.
I really, really want to like this game a lot, and I do enjoy the story and all the weird, just dumb, like multiverse, dumb spiritual stuff that's in it, and I think it's interesting and weird and fun to think about. Just the gameplay, just like, ugh, I don't want to do these fights. I just want to like go through the story. The fights are so like a regular random encounter, not a random encounter because you see them on the map, but just a regular fight takes like 5-6 minutes. That's a long time in an RPG fight.
Yeah.
I could get if you want a boss to be long, but if it had like a strategy or a gimmick that you had to like do and it made sense, not just this is an HP sponge and there's never a third of you dying because you just use whatever potions, and it's like I never feel like I'm gonna get my party wiped. And that's that one pacifist guy, I think that's a really cool mechanic that he doesn't actually do attacks and that he protects other party members. But I have to have 4 offensive party members, or else fights will take even longer if one quarter of my party is not doing attacks.
Yeah.
Right. So it's even, adding another couple minutes to every battle, which is just so boring. I think I'm about 60 or 70% through the game, probably. It's not terribly long.
Mm-hmm.
I've got about, I think I'm close to 20 hours into it.
Okay.
I don't think it's much longer than that.
Yeah.
There's also some interesting little puzzles and stuff, but dungeons are padded out so long because the fights take so long. Like these dungeons, I feel like I could figure out the puzzles and get through them in like 20 minutes or so, but it's taking an hour or more just because these fights are so long, and there's not even a lot of fights in the dungeons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little frustrated. I really wanted to love this game because I can see a good game in it, and maybe the developers will pick up on this because other people are saying a lot of the same stuff I am. And it's just bringing like the combat just so boring and it feels like a slog that. And other people are like, oh, the protagonist is unlikable, but that's on purpose. So you gotta, I think, you deal with that. You're not supposed to like the main protagonist, I think, which is fine. That's just part of the narrative.
Yep.
But maybe they'll patch this stuff and fix it. I think if they just cut enemy HP a little bit, made some of your combat inputs not so punishing when you mess up, or actually make it rewarding when you do it really well, that would, I don't know. They just got to fix the combat.
Yep.
Opinion. But pie cakes out of 5, 2.5 right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that's carrying it for me is just the really weird out there story. That's the only thing that carries it for me. Like I said, at first the combat was kind of interesting and novel. That everyone has their own thing, but then it's just like, okay, this is boring.
Yeah.
Doing it over and over again, and because fights take forever, just like
yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see if I don't finish it by Friday. I don't know. I'll probably forget it.
Well, that brings up like the length of, particularly boss fights, brings up an interesting thing, because I think like that's one of the things. I mean, just
it's fine if it's fun.
Kind of bringing the conversation back to Monster Hunter is like Monster Hunter is essentially a game of boss fights, right? And what's interesting is like a long Monster Hunter battle, like a hunt, is like 20 minutes, but that includes like the monster running away to different areas and you having to like take a couple minutes to run from one area to another, sort of a thing. This is speaking of like older ones. World doesn't necessarily have this issue because it's all one area thing, but yeah, and I mean that's like for a big, like if you're under geared and it's like a tough monster for the gear level that you have and you're not like well optimized, like 20 minutes is like max. I mean, and that includes like lots of running around.
That's the game though, right? So the whole
game is the game
predicated on that.
Yes.
Like, that's the fun of the game, is like, oh, different phases. Now the monster went to, in the older ones, a different zone, and now the mechanics have changed slightly.
But I think that just goes to show that like that's the whole point of the game. And even then, like you're not spending more than 20 minutes on a boss fight, kind of a thing.
For just random grinding fights out in the world, I don't want to spend more than a minute.
Yeah.
On it, really. Like you're just random encounter or whatever. Like I don't think it should be more than a minute, really.
I mean, in some cases, like with Pokemon, if you
less.
If you happen to get a good matchup against against a random Pokemon, it's like a one-hit KO and then you're done.
And there's not tons of different abilities or different spells or elemental types or anything in Y2K. So like it's not like you find the enemy's weakness. Maybe there is, and I'm just not noticing it. But I don't.
Yeah.
There's not all that many different abilities. Mostly you're just autoing.
I mean, it could be weird. Like Super Mario RPG apparently has different damage types.
Yeah, maybe there's something I'm missing.
They don't talk about like enemy resistances and weaknesses very much.
I mean, like in a Final Fantasy or a lot of games, like, oh, this is a plant creature, I should use fire.
Yeah,
that'll make this much easier. Oh, a robot, I should use lightning because whatever.
Yeah. Flying enemy, don't use earth.
Right. Or I'm gonna haste my party right at the beginning. I'm gonna blah 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 blah. And you can, the reason I said the Final Fantasy 13 thing, I was watching a guy on Twitch play Final Fantasy 13, and it's a game a lot of people don't like, but I always thought the combat was really good because there's a lot of like mid-combat changes of classes and stuff, and debuffing and buffing and finding weaknesses and blah 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 blah. Even then, though, if you're efficient at it, random fights don't take more than 30-45 seconds, because once you've fought an enemy once, you kind of know the deal, and here's the weaknesses, and here's how to beat it really quick, and blah 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 blah. And it's fine. And then it makes like wanting to level up not feel so bad. Also, I'm gonna gripe again about Y2K. Leveling up is kind of annoying, because you got to go into this like mind dungeon thing to level yourself up, and
that's weird.
So it's all very like mind and spiritual stuff, which is fine. I get it. That makes sense for the game narrative. But like you got to go to a telephone and you got to call the number to go to your mind dungeon. And each one of these is like a quick yes or no, and it kind of takes a little time. It's just like all these little annoying steps to get to leveling up. And then it's a quick loading screen and you're in the mind dungeon, right? Which is literally just like you inside your own head. And you got to go through a doorway to go into it. And then there's a floor with 4 different doors on it. And each door you pick a stat you want to level.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm fine with that. But it's like, are you sure you want to do this? Yes or no? And it's like all these little tiny extra steps that are unnecessary and inefficient.
Yeah.
And just make it feel like, yeah, I want to level up, but it's like, ugh, I gotta level up. It's like kind of a process.
Yeah.
Yeah, like lots of little things like that. And like I said, if they fixed a lot of these little things and patched them or something,
Yeah.
like I could see a pretty like neat little indie RPG that would be way more fun and interesting. But whatever. So it goes, right?
Yeah. Courtney, still with us?
Yes, I am still with you. Yeah. No, it's been a long day.
Okay. All right.
Very long time.
All right. So 2 announcements. Was Wargroove an announcement or was it a release?
It's an announcement. I don't know if it was on a direct or something.
All right. So 2 announcements then. So we've got Wargroove, and SteamWorld Quest. So why don't we talk about SteamWorld Quest first?
Yeah, go for
it. So it was announced today from Image and Form Games, who made the other SteamWorld games.
Mm-hmm.
True to form, completely changing genres once again. So
yeah, it looks like legit RPG.
Yeah. So SteamWorld Dig, it was kind of like a weird like Dig Dug meets Metroid style game.
I watched my roommate play it a bit, and that's what it looked like.
Yeah. And then SteamWorld Heist was almost like a 2D Command and Conquer /
RTS?
It wasn't RTS. No, what am I thinking of? It's that was like Mario and Rabbids, where it's turn-based.
Tactical RPG.
Yeah, I mean it's a tactical RPG, but it's like taking turns and then using line of sight to make attacks and stuff like that. It's some XCOM. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, so it's almost like a 2D side scroller XCOM type game. And then this one, yes, is a card based. Is a card battle turn based fantasy RPG.
Oh, okay.
With Steam bots. So I mean, the way it works is you essentially build a deck. You don't ever lose your cards.
Yeah. I've seen games like this before.
Yeah. So Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories did this. In my opinion, it wasn't very great. Baten Kaitos did it. In my opinion, that was one of the games where he did it really well.
It's the same guy who does the Xeno series, right?
Baten Kaitos.
Yeah. Is that Monolith?
Maybe?
Monolith Soft?
I don't remember. I'd have to check. I have the box somewhere still.
That's all right. I think it is.
But yeah, so this game, I mean, basically, like, you'll have a bunch of cards to pick from, so that'll be like attacking and defending and stuff like that, and your skills and whatnot. Art style looks really good. Music's really good. I'm sure it'll have a great story because SteamWorld, like, for the limited scope in the games that they do, they pack a really good, like, nice little story into them. So yeah. Yeah, I know I tend to have reservations on card-based battle systems a little bit, but because of the work they've done, Image and Form, that is, I'm willing to give this a shot when it comes out.
I just don't like that extra layer of RNG in my RPG,
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I mean, Baten Kaitos was just so good. It was things like if you use like a wine card, but then a light attack card, it would turn your wine into vinegar.
What?
Yeah, because the idea was like if you leave wine out in the sun or whatever, like it sours it and it turns it into vinegar, kind of a thing. Or yeah, like if you use like a meat card, like a raw meat card, and then you use a fire attack, you would get like roasted meat. So it was a card-based battle system that also functioned as a crafting system by using your attacks and everything. Also, one of the characters had musical instruments as weapons, and they dealt light or dark damage. Yeah, they were weapons made out of instruments, so it was like battle tuba was a popular one.
Okay, you say that, and I just think of the guy there, the picture online of the guy like having all of the. I'm not sure if it was tuba or sousaphones, but like he had the bells over his legs and his arms and over his head. Like
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
But basically, they were like firearms that were manufactured out of instruments. So like they still functioned as instruments, but like you would shoot people with them. Yeah. But yeah, so there's just an announcement video, like an announcement trailer. So you stay tuned for more details on that, and hopefully they outline the battle system a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, the graphics are pretty charming and everything.
Charming.
And it's weird to see.
That's. I don't know if I want to have that as a word for for a video game. Charming.
That's Octopath.
That is like everything that Nintendo does.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Kirby,
I don't know. I
Yoshi,
think
Octopath would be considered charming.
Kirby, Yoshi, absolutely, but I don't know. I guess I don't know. It just doesn't make sense in my mind with thinking about.
It's like a more sophisticated style of like cute.
Yeah.
But like whimsical kind of a thing. You know, they have a little shot where there's like all little dancing mushrooms around a statue kind of a thing. But yeah. Also, I mean, basically in Dungeons and Dragons terms, it's a game where all the characters are warforged. Every character. So yeah. Because the idea is it takes place, the story of the overall series is humanity has died out. And all that's left of Earth basically are these robots.
Are you sure not talking about Nier Automata?
Nope.
Because that's basically the same story.
That sounds pretty similar.
So it's basically robots have outlived humanity and they're just trying to make ends meet and everything.
So it's like WALL-E.
But they're well, no, humanity's not just like they left; they're gone.
Oh,
like they died out.
Yeah, Nier Automata is.
And then in the second game, Earth blows up, so then they're all trapped in space.
Nier Automata is like, there's androids or something, like trying to protect. I don't know. They think humans are on the moon or something.
Yeah.
After some war with aliens, but the androids are
on the moon.
Yeah, but spoiler, they're not. They all died. And the androids are like just fighting robots that the aliens made on Earth, like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then it gets in like, again, what I like, weird philosophical, existential stuff.
Yeah.
Existential crises style. Yeah.
But in this one, it seems. So my guess is, it's on another planet. If we've gone from Earth to outer space, back to ground, or maybe it's like I don't know where it sits in the timeline yet.
Maybe it's like Manifest, and they were just gone for 5 years, but really to them it was just a few hours.
Do you mean humans or whatever?
Yes.
Because like the series starts on Earth.
Yeah.
It doesn't start in outer space.
Yeah, but you said the second part they go out into outer space.
The second part they go into outer space because Earth blows up.
Because Earth blows up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they leave because Earth blows up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Somehow.
What?
No, I'm thinking of Xenoblade.
Wait, Xenoblade is also weird.
Yeah, doesn't Xenoblade like Earth also blow up or something?
Sort of.
Or like
kind of.
The space station around Earth or something blows up.
It's all right. So
anyway,
primer. I mean, this is also spoilery, but yeah, it's basically Earth is like attacked or something, and then or something happens with governments attacking each other, or whatever, and so basically this scientist unlocks this energy or whatever and then uses it to like recreate reality. Okay. So he basically like remakes Earth, and then he is God then in this remade reality.
Yes.
And then it splits in two separate dimensions. which is then where you have Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2.
This is my jam. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And so in Xenoblade 1, it's like there's like half of him. Like he basically splits into two half beings. Where
That's
in
not
Xenoblade
creepy
1,
at all.
in Xenoblade 1, he becomes like super evil and bent on just, basically, oh, I let everything run amok or whatever because I wanted people to love me because I got lonely. But it's all gone wrong and I'm gonna make it all over again. And you're like, wait, no, that's bad. So then you kill him. And then.
Sorry, the way you said that was very passive. It's like I'm thinking like, wait, no. Don't
stop. No, don't destroy my universe because I like this universe. I like being alive. So then he gets sucked back in or whatever. And then at the same time, the events of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 are happening in the other realm where like his good half resides, where he created basically these like spiritual beings, that it turns out are actually all nanobots. Like, and all the magic is just nanobots. It's very, Numenera. Which is a tabletop RPG. So like all the magic is just, and all the ether and everything is literally just microscopic nanobots in the atmosphere.
There's two things here.
And then
this dude just writes to the same story over and over again.
Pretty much.
And Xenogears is the same story.
Yeah. But here's the thing, like,
you
don't figure that out until like the last 10 minutes of the game, and then you're like,
oh
no!
Yeah, I know.
To the point that they actually put audio from Xenoblade 1 into Xenoblade 2, so that it's happening at the same time, and that this is like an echo universe of the same game. You're like, wait a minute, that's Shulk! What?
That is a cool touch.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, as I said, spoilers, but if you haven't played Xenoblade 2 by now, I mean... You're missing out on quite a bit.
It's been out for a while.
It's been out for a year, and they released a full-blooded DLC as a separate game purchase,
like a 20-hour worth DLC.
Yeah, it got its own physical copy.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
So.
Yes, it did.
But yeah, SteamWorld Quest coming out for Switch, 2019, sometime, and then I believe it may release to other consoles after that, and other platforms after that, but. Yeah, the announcement was for Switch, so.
Cool.
And then Wargroove. Josh, you added this to the show notes.
Yeah, I just actually noticed it today. I saw a little thing on it. I was like, wait, that looks a lot like Advance Wars, if anybody remembers that.
I do.
On the GBA.
Heard of it?
Kind of like RTS for your little brother or sister. Like, oh, I'm going to play StarCraft. Here, you play Advance Wars. Kind of. I don't know. I always thought it's just like RTS Lite that you could play on the handheld.
RTS Lite.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, I remember playing Matt, my youngest brother's GBA on like a card trip out to the Midwest one time. I stole his GBA from him and made me, like I said, I'm taking this. I'm playing.
It was it kind of similar.
I remember playing it.
Kind of similar to Fire Emblem.
Yeah, kind of.
From what I understand.
Which Fire Emblem game?
All, because they're all the same.
Where it's basically like a tactical strategy, like turn-based strategy game that has unit-based combat.
Yeah.
It's just in Advance Wars.
RTS, wasn't there base building? I feel like there's RTS stuff.
Are you thinking of Battalion Wars?
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Because Battalion Wars was for the GameCube, and that was an RTS.
No.
Sorry, it was more like an action game, though.
I remember playing
it was
in the
weird.
car on a drive. So it had to have been Advance Wars. I do remember it kind of being like Fire Emblem, or particularly when they clash.
Yes.
So, yeah. Also, you'd be familiar with Valkyria Chronicles. It's kind of like that too, but obviously top-down 2D.
Yeah. On the GBA, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But same type of premise.
Yeah.
As well.
I occasionally get the music from Advance Wars stuck in my head.
These things will happen.
I only played it a couple times. When I was like...
My two favorite characters, where there was one guy, his name was Grit, and he was like this like slacker guy who wore a big long trench coat, and his specialty was ranged units. Like he got like an extra range. Like all of his units had like all his ranged units had +1 range. and he was great. Like that, you would just fortify the area surrounding you, and then just drop like a bunch of battleships or artillery cannons and stuff, and just like hold up in a position. The other one that I was a big fan of was it's been like this old Japanese helicopter pilot, and his special ability was like he got bonuses for using helicopters, and then like his like big giant like special ability that you could activate was all of your unoccupied cities suddenly got infantry. Like you would just automatically spawn infantry in all your unoccupied cities. Because they helicopter dropped in. Yeah. And he would get bonuses like the less HP your units had, like the stronger they were, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, this war group just seems kind of like a spiritual successor to Advanced Wars.
Nice.
It's made by whoever does Stardew Valley and all that.
Oh, Chucklefish.
Yeah.
So
Chucklefish or Concerned Ape.
Published by Chucklefish. Yeah.
Published. I didn't know if they're sure or whatever.
Yeah, they're a
publisher. All Stardew and
nice
stuff. So yeah, I just thought it was a nifty little. It gave me a little nostalgia twinge.
Nice
when I saw it. Hey, also,
you should get that looked at.
Yeah, I think it's a positive if anything. Hey, Dragon Ball movie came out last week, limited release. I didn't get it, but Dragon Ball Super Broly.
Oh, that's right, Super Broly. I forgot they were gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to wait till I can see on the internet or something.
Yep.
I was gonna say, was that like released in like select theaters or
something?
Oh yeah,
that's always select. Only in the big cities you'll get it.
Yeah, nowhere around here.
Yeah,
because typically select theaters would mean Images. And I don't think Images is going to be showing Super Broly.
All the reviews say it's really good.
Nice. I think wasn't the last Broly film reviewed really well?
Oh, geez, that would have been a long time ago.
I mean, it was, but I hear that it's one of the better ones.
I mean, people like Broly, even though he wasn't a canon character.
Yeah.
But he is now.
He is now.
Yep. This is all Super is canon.
Yep.
So
cool.
Yeah.
All right. So that wraps
Resident Evil
up.
2 comes out Friday. Kingdom Hearts next week. Get ready.
Yes.
So let's talk about what's been happening with 8-Bit Adventures. So no comic this week because we got a lot of snow and ice.
Yeah.
Mostly ice on Sunday.
It's icy now too.
It's very icy out now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead, I just did a little quick cartoon of Winter Wonderland type stuff. Would have been good snow for building a snowman, but
it would have been.
Yeah. But then it got way too cold. So
I am completely and utterly Iggy in that, and just covered up in all of the blankets.
Yeah. Meant to be scarves, but yeah, because they're outdoors. Yeah.
Right. Yes, because they are outside.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? You could bring a blanket around if you chose to.
Yeah. So no comic. There will be a game night stream tomorrow night. I'm gonna be playing Let's Go Pikachu.
Woo!
Picking that back up with some Pika power with my Pika pal. Lady Sif. That's right. That's my Pikachu's name. So
really?
Yeah, I got a little female Pikachu.
Nice.
So I called her Lady Sif. So we'll be playing that. Tales of Jamora back on Friday. We'll be doing episode 8.
Yeah.
But the big news is that we're gonna actually talk about it. So the not so secret project now, since we're officially talking about it on stream and on podcast, is so I am currently building piece by piece, very little pieces at a time, a sort of 2D RPG using RPGMaker. So I know many folks will probably be rolling their eyes at that. Of just the whole RPGMaker aspect of it, but I'm actually putting in the work to develop my own sprites and graphics and stuff like that. So I didn't put them in here. So I will put these up somewhere. Maybe we'll be sharing them out on social media or something, all the screenshots. But for Josh and Courtney, what do you guys think so far?
I like it. I will say though, similar to something that Josh was saying, I think some of the textures, and I know you said you use the same thing on everything, but some of the textures.
So the
just,
basic map
yeah,
is
it's
one thing.
yeah, it's
The
weird
things that
'cause it's
sit
like
on the map are
yeah.
stuff that I did using my own art style. And then
Okay.
items right now, I decided to leave them using the default sort of RPG Maker style to make them
Okay.
stand out.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that that I was always concerned about was if you put items in there, do people know to click on them?
Yeah, if they're like in the same
So yeah,
style and stuff. Yeah. I mean, honestly, other than that, like just with places standing out, if it's just like it is just that and it makes sense because you'd want to know where stuff is and know where you can go and all of those other things. But yeah, the grass has a weird texture that
I mean, that's
just
a nitpick.
says
well, that's also
fuzzy.
it's not. Well, here's the other thing, right? Is I'm not sure what size you're viewing it at because RPG. So unfortunately, RPG Maker is limited to a specific window size,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? So and it's not full screen. I should point that out.
Yeah.
So if your monitor is blowing it up to full screen, it will look a bit fuzzy.
Hmm.
Whereas, like for example, like Iggy's little character sprite
Yeah.
is only 48 pixels by 48 pixels, so it's small. Uh, so if things are appearing blurry at all, I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
No.
Okay.
Uh,
The other thing is, so as of right now, there are little patches of grass. I'm
mhm.
actually going to be taking a whole bunch of that stuff out, and basically reducing the number of patches of grass that show up because there doesn't need
Yeah.
to be that many.
That's just polished stuff for the end.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I think from screenshots, in all honesty, it's hard for me to get a feel on, it looks like an RPG. I'll be more interested when you have systems in place to see how they work as far as like you had talked about this last week after my game
Yeah.
for a bit. As far as like jobs and classes or whatever, and like how that works and different abilities for different classes. I'm always interested in that side of things, as far as how you're going to deal with gear and things like that, and how that part of character progression works as well. I'm curious to that and to see whatever work you do in that regard.
Yeah.
Hmm. I will say as well though, I love the attention to detail that you put in the sprites, and I can't wait to play cornflakes.
Thank you. I am working on getting these screenshots
Into the stream.
into the stream. So okay, so let's see. So there we go. So the stream can see it now, as to what we're talking about. So yeah, so basically the reason why the grass has a weird texture is because there's a lot of in a given space. There's probably like 9 different little shrubs. So I'm just going to reduce the density of those, and that should actually make it look a little bit better.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what's implemented right now in the game is there's basically that map that you're seeing on stream. There are a bunch of items that you can pick up. So there's 2 mushrooms, 2 herbs. There the patches of grass. If you run in them, a la Pokemon, you trigger random encounters. So random encounters include bats and snakes at the moment. And those are using graphics that I've made. There are a number of classes that are implemented, including we have Monk, which is just sort of like a martial arts fighter, built as an evasion tank. So it is a tank type class built on dodging attacks. There's Ninja, which is a sort of damage dealing class based on poison. So a lot of poison type abilities and dagger type abilities. There's Thief, which focuses on stealing items and dagger type attacks. There's Mage, which focuses on lightning, frost, and fire magic, as well as arcane magic. And their big thing is like AoE spells. There's Chef, which is focused on cooking food. So most of their abilities require ingredients to use. So it'll be something like, in order to cure wounds, you'll have to make a smoothie. So you need to make sure that you have milk and vegetables. Or to do like a hero's feast kind of ability, you're going to need like a whole bunch of meat, a whole bunch of starches, a whole bunch of vegetables, and like a dessert to go with it. To just like blind people by throwing sand in their face or whatever, or by blinding them. So a la
sand.
Yes,
sort of like,
yeah, you beat me to it.
More like Ocarina of Time. Is it costs a tree nut to use, and you throw it at people and it explodes and it blinds them. So yeah, so it's got abilities like that. It's kind of a support class, so a lot of healing type stuff, but it does have some attack capabilities. It does have a limited number of axe and hammer skills for chopping meat and tenderizing meat. And then last up is there's a Dryad class, which is you're basically like a wood spirit, and so you have a lot of abilities that drain hit points from people and restore your own. You have a lot of like healing over time abilities for yourself, and one of the core abilities is that you can cut your own hit points and then give those hit points to the rest of the party. The Dryad's sort of stat allocation is like a huge amount of hit points, and then like average stats and kind of everything but speed, and then your speed is like abysmal because you're a tree. You can't move very fast, so you will go last. Like every round. But you have like the stats to kind of back up like not dying by the time you go last.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then lots of trinkets have been made. On the map here, there's like little bubbles in the water. Those are fish, or like little fishing pools that you walk up to it. And if you have a fishing pole as a key item in your inventory, and I'm going to make it so that like there'll be different bait for you to choose so that you can catch different kinds of fish. But for now, there's only one fish implemented in the game, so that's not necessary. It'll prompt like a little action bar type stuff. I may play around with doing like a whole fishing scene, as there's a plugin for that. That basically takes you to like a whole different area for fishing, and you do it like Breath of Fire. So it's like all little fish in a pond kind of a thing, and you're trying to maneuver your hook like in front of a fish to hook it type stuff. I'll see. It might be a little too complicated, but there is a compass in the bottom right corner with some little icons, and that shows right now in the screenshot graphic, there are little item icons to show you items that you can pick up on the map in relation to where you are.
I noticed. I figured that's what that stuff on the ground was, like the mushroom and everything.
Yeah. The current build that I have also has little fish icons to tell you where fishing nodes are. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Got to work on making a back graphic for Iggy so that when he's moving up, it shows the back of him.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and then working on an interior of the house.
Nice.
So, I guess I can kind of see what you guys are talking about. So I think what it is there's basically like a cloud filter or a pattern
and
filter
maybe it's
on
just
the
Yeah.
like
trees,
It might
and
just
there
be,
isn't
yeah.
on the house because it made the house look real dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, I can't have a dirty house.
yeah, the house just seemed kind of shiny, I guess, compared to everything else.
Yeah, as I said, like
Yeah.
it does make sense
I
because
mean,
like
and
That
you
that's a
want to
minor thing.
know where you have to go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, making the house look a little shinier than everything is intended. Because it's a nice house. So, but yeah, I can see that. I did actually try to see what the texture would look like on it, and yeah, it didn't look good. But that is something that I can always change. As the way these work is, they're all separate image files that I load into like a tile map that then gets loaded into RPGMaker. But if I need to like alter an image file, I can always do that and then add it to the map, kind of a thing. So yeah, so I'm gonna pull that image back off the stream. Boom, there we go. So yeah, so that's what I've been working on. I got a whole bunch of skills too that are made up, passive abilities. So it's some of the inspiration has been taken from Octopath Traveler. Some of the inspiration has been taken from Pokemon. Some of the inspiration has been taken from Dungeons and Dragons. Just as kind of like a general guideline. And then making tweaks to individual systems as I go to put my own spin on it. Like in terms of sort of base mechanics and everything, it would kind of most like be Pokemon as a way to think about it. But you're not doing the whole like rock, paper, scissors thing with weaknesses and resistances. That was something I thought about in the past, and I was like, this makes it a little too complicated, and I worry about because you don't have a lot of backup characters getting one shot and then you having to like use lots of revives, kind of a thing, to keep people alive. So but yeah, so
Got fun new projects in the works.
yeah. And I think after the stream, what I might do is do a screen share and just show you guys just some gameplay in action. But yeah, that is basically what's going on. I'm going to be working a little bit on it each day. No goals set, because I think that's the best way to go about things. But this will not prevent any further comics from happening. So expect a comic on Monday.
Yay!
Where we continue to see the adventures of the crew. Yeah. So.
Yes.
With that, that's going to wrap it up for that. So why don't we get into this week's quest log? All right, so this is going to probably be the penultimate in our playing with class series until the Unearthed Arcana comes out for the Artificer next month. So I'm going to put on my metaphorical robe and wizard hat and grab my big long beard and my big staff, because it's time to talk about wizards. And these aren't wizards of the coast.
They could be.
I mean, technically yeah.
I mean, they might be.
I'm going to make a character named, I don't know, something, and his title be Wizard of the Coast.
One could argue that every wizard that shows up in Josh's home game that we play in is a wizard of the coast.
Yeah.
Many, yes.
We play in the Sword Coast, so
yeah. Good amount of them are, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so wizards are kind of the sort of ultimate arcane spellcaster. They are also kind of the ultimate caster in terms of versatility. And they're also like one of the most fragile classes, we'll say, especially early on. They get the least amount of hit points, along with sorcerers, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. But unlike sorcerers, most types of wizards don't get a whole lot of defensive options as like class abilities. Whereas sorcerers do. So, basically wizards, they prepare arcane spells using a spell book. So, sort of like known casters, you do have a certain number of spells that you quote unquote know. The difference is that you are always adding more spells to your spell book when you level up, and you can also invest time and money into adding more spells to your spell book. So, theoretically speaking, you could learn every wizard spell in the game.
Yeah.
Theoretically
speaking. And then, like other sort of prepared casters, is you just pick from that list that you can prepare each day. Wizards also get ritual casting, so that you are able to, like, if you have a spell in your spell book that you can cast as a ritual, you can just take the extra time and you don't have to have it prepared or use up a spell slot. But then outside of that, wizards don't really get a whole lot of class features. You get arcane.
Don't get a lot of love.
You get arcane recovery at an early level, which allows you to regain some spell slots. And then your other class features outside of like your focused type of magic don't show up until like level 17, which is basically you choose some spells and you don't have to prepare those spells anymore. You always know them. And then they're like, I think level 17, it's first level spells, and then level 20, it's like up to third level spells.
Yeah.
And I think it might be like that you can expend them without using a spell slot once per day or something like that.
That's interesting.
I've not looked super far into wizard, to be honest.
I haven't either, because I'm like, I'm never gonna go get to level 20 in a wizard. So yeah. They're interesting, but yeah, I'm more interested in like the specialist features than
your power as a wizard comes from you know more spells than anybody else.
Yeah.
And you have such a variety to choose from that you are just so adaptable.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Plus, I mean, you have the biggest list of spells to choose from.
Yes.
When you learn spells. So like, yeah, technically you could argue that clerics, druids, and paladins, because they can prepare any spell on the list, but their lists are a bit more restricted than wizards are. Because, yeah. I mean, like wizard first through third level like pretty much takes up a page.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then at level 2 you pick a particular school of magic to focus in. So this is something a little different than prior editions where specializing in a school of magic was optional. In second edition it was an entirely different class altogether. And that you could like level in, you could actually multi-class as like illusionist transmuter kind of a thing. So you could level as two different kinds of specialist wizards, unless you're in Dragonlance, in which case you can't. But that's campaign specific stuff. So, but yeah, so in 5th edition, yeah, there is no like generalist wizard. Is that you're always specialized in some kind of spell school. And these spell schools are Abjuration, which is the magic of warding and shielding. Conjuration, which is summoning, or sort of creation, which could be argued as just summoning. This also includes teleportation, because teleportation is basically the act of summoning yourself somewhere else. Is, I think, how it's been sort of logicked into that.
Oh, okay, I see that. I see. My mind does not work reverse like that.
It took a little, and that was something. I think in second edition,
I get it.
I think teleportation used to be just a separate school, and then they in 3rd edition they rolled it under conjuration.
Yeah.
There's divination, which is magic of revealing or knowledge. So it also includes scrying, any kind of knowledge, or foresight. There's enchantment, which isn't crafting magic items, or sort of laying spells upon an area so much as charms, basically. So yeah, it's charms and domination. So overpowering another creature's mind. There's illusion, which is creating false experiences to confuse or disorient. Also includes like some elements of shadow magic, which is you infuse illusions with magic from the plane of shadow to make them partially real. There's necromancy, which is perhaps the most widely known one, which is in some aspects raising skeletons and zombies, but it's for the most part the magic of life forces. So necromancy is also the magic of healing, which makes a lot of people's heads go like, that what? Cure Wounds is a necromancy spell? It is. And that's a return to what it was in 2nd edition. After that, we have transmutation, which is the magic of changing things. So it's basically like lots of alchemy.
Yeah.
I also forgot, and I don't know how I could forget, evocation, which is basically your standard, what people think of when they think of wizards.
Yeah.
Evocation is...
I'm a fire in my fireball.
It's a little weird in that it's like the manipulation of energy, but there are some conjuration spells that also create energy. So it's a little weird in that regard, but basically evocation is just I make things go boom. So this is where a lot of your classic fireball, lightning bolt, shatter are all evocation type stuff. They're typically instantaneous.
All your offensive damage spells, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the difference between evocation and conjuration is evocation stuff tends to not stay around. It kind of does its effect and then goes away.
Yeah.
There are exceptions to that general rule, but yeah. Generally, if you want to be a wizard that just throws fireballs all over the place, you probably want to be an evoker. So yeah. You can use these particular schools of magic to do kind of interesting things. So like if you want to make like an alchemist kind of wizard, you could be a transmuter. If you want to be like an oracle, you could be a diviner. If you want to be a person that studies like outsiders, so angels, demons, stuff like that, like and bind stuff to your will, so like a summoner, you want to be a conjurer. The unfortunate thing about conjurers is that like they don't get summoning spells until much later. So like there's no low level summoning spells. I think the lowest level one is 3rd level. So you kind of have to rely on other stuff that isn't quite summoning to kind of give off that vibe. But yeah, and it's very reliant on the summoning type stuff. So
yeah.
Enchanter's fun. Illusionist, if you want to be like a stage magician kind of a thing, and like give off very fanciful effects and stuff. And then of course, I mean, the big granddaddy of necromancy. So everybody wants to play a necromancer and get all spooky, scary skeletons. The internet wants to be necromancers.
It just feels so played out.
Well, and that's why it's just the most popular type of wizard, I feel.
Also, you're gonna have if I'm your DM, you're gonna have a hard time convincing me that you're gonna be involved in a good aligned party as a necromancer. You can make it work.
It can be done.
It can be done, but
Diablo makes it work.
Yeah, you just have to be creative.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Some of the other ones, there's Blade Singer, which is another sort of arcane tradition, where it's not necessarily a school of magic, but it's you basically wield you use swords one-handed, and you almost adopt like a fencing style, and then you weave magic around you to protect you. So it's kind of like what we saw with the Eldritch Knight, where it's a little bit more of like a fighter wizard kind of a thing, whereas the Eldritch Knight is a little bit more on the fighter side, and Blade Singer is a little bit more on the wizard side.
Blade Singer, phew. They can get their AC very high.
Yes, they can. Yeah.
Cast shield and they have blade ward up. It's silliness.
Yep. I'm trying to think if there were any other. Let me pull out my Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Woohoo!
See if we got anything in there. Oh right, War Mage, which is another one where you basically get like at second level, you basically get shield, like a minor version of shield to use just at will.
Yeah.
Which is basically when you're hit by an attack or you fail a saving throw, you can use a reaction to gain a +2 bonus to AC or +4 bonus to your save. So it uses up your reaction, and it doesn't last until the start of your next turn or end of your next turn or whatever. And it's also it counts as the purpose of having cast a spell for whether or not you can cast spells until the end of your next turn. So you can only cast cantrips. Actually, that's it as far as Xanathar's Guide. Yeah. There are some other ones that are in Unearthed Arcana. There is like an inventor wizard that I think Wizards put out trying to still come up with something for the Artificer. It's a little weird. Sort of. You basically wear like steampunk armor.
Mm-hmm.
But then another feature is like inventive spellcasting, which is really to say you use up a spell slot and cast a spell that's not prepared, but it's random.
Interesting. So
it's a
little bit of wild magic?
Sort of, except the fact that like you get to still choose the targets and everything, and it's just you don't know what spell you're going to cast. So it's not like wild magic in that, I cast Fireball centered on myself.
Yeah.
It would be like, I cast Fireball, but then I get to choose the target and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I may not have intended to cast Fireball. So, yeah, it's a little weird. I'm personally not a fan of how it's built, so I kind of tend to just ignore it. But yeah. I mean, I have to say, personally, as far as wizards go, my favorite is transmuters. Just because I like that idea of alchemy and changing things from one thing to another. But yeah.
I like evocation.
I mean, yeah, evocation is always another strong.
Also, the War Mage interests me because it's just very, very offensive.
Yes.
I just have a very offensive mindset, so
yeah,
I like that. I think for me, thinking about wizard, the main thing, I mean, magic. I don't want to say it, but it is kind of true in my mind. Magic user is a magic user is a magic user.
A little bit.
The difference is, though, again, as always for me, is the character and how you play it. And
yeah.
So I think the important thing to know with a wizard is, if you're a wizard, you studied. At some point in your life, you studied to learn your spells.
That is the big thing.
Whether you're self-taught, whether you went to a university, whether you had a mentor, whatever, something in your backstory is going to be. A major part of your backstory is going to be how you learned.
Yes.
Your spells. You're not a sorcerer. It's not just innate and inborn.
Yeah, and it's you use a spell book.
Yeah.
Or some sort of thing where you record spells, and you use arcane formula. So you have to understand, and You got to do maths.
Yeah.
Oh
you
God.
got to understand math. Because
Gotta do even more math than usual.
math.
Wizards
Quick
are
maths.
smart. So their spellcasting is based on intelligence because you have to understand a very complex formula in order to cast spells. Because you are essentially...
It's that scene where like everything slows down and it's just math equations flying
Yeah.
by you.
Because it's figuring things out. So this was actually an episode of Doctor Who where it was basically, there was an episode where they went to, I think it was the Rose Theater, the Globe Theater, whatever theater burned down.
Globe.
The Globe Theater, and it was
Yes.
for Shakespeare's like lost play kind of a thing.
Yep.
And basically there were a bunch of aliens that were like vulture-like aliens that showed up.
Evil witches.
Yeah. And they were basically witches. And of course the Doctor doesn't believe in magic. But like they were basically pulling off feats of magic, right? And then
For all intents and purposes, yes.
It completely baffled him. Like, how can this be? Like, magic isn't real. Magic doesn't exist. How can this work? Kind of thing. And then he figured it out that it was math, and it was basically, and this is kind of just how wizards use magic, is that if you do a certain formula of actions, incantations, and some combination of actions, incantations, and materials, or substituting what is known as an arcane focus for those materials, it causes reality to bend in ways that should defy physics but don't. So the idea of, I wave my arms around and recite this very precise incantation while mixing together gunpowder.
Shadow Clone Jutsu.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I can create a fireball, right? Or I think it's what is it, by saying this incantation and moving my hands around in a very specific manner while holding a little bit of fleece allows me to pull the wool over somebody's eyes and cast an illusion on them, kind of a thing. So yeah. So it's all very complicated processes like that. Whereas, yeah, I mean, sorcerers, they're just like, I don't know. I am just able to do magic. I don't understand it, but whatever.
Which is why it makes sense that there are such things as wild magic sorcery.
Yes.
I also like the flavor that every wizard writes a spell formula differently. So you have 5 different wizards. They each have a different
like
formula
coding.
for fireball. Yeah, kind of.
It's like coding.
And that's why it takes
hacking.
so long when you have somebody else's spell book to transcribe it into your own, because you got to figure out all their own shorthand and like how they did it to make it work.
Yep. Yeah.
I just like that little bit of flavor. It always interests me.
Yeah. So should be noted, as expected, wizards not really proficient in armor, not really proficient in weapons. You're proficient with staffs and daggers and maybe like clubs.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you're supposed to be just shooting.
You spent most of your time studying how to use magic. You didn't really have time to learn how to do things like hit somebody with a sword.
Yeah, and isn't the wizard the one where sugar words? I swear I have them. I can't remember anymore. Sorry, my brain's not working.
Well, for anybody, it's you can't cast spells in armor that you're not proficient with.
Right.
So so that means basically that if you want to cast spells in armor as a wizard, you got to find some way to get proficient.
There's feats that make you proficient.
There's feats. Also multi-classing.
Yeah.
May be able to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's feats that allow you to do that. So, any further notes on Wizards? Oh, so actually, this ties back to, I believe we had this discussion about like famous characters from other classes, kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And we brought up one Mr. Harry Potter.
Yes.
Hagrid's quote is totally wrong. Harry is not a wizard. Harry is 100% a sorcerer.
Yep.
Harry doesn't study magic very well. He knows a limited number of spells that he does all the time. He seems to get by on natural charisma and not a keen intellect.
Mm-hmm.
And his magic
was
like inherent through his bloodline.
Yeah.
Hermione Granger, 100% a wizard.
Yeah.
Now, even though that ability is there, it's just because until she went to school, she wasn't learning about it and having the ability to do it.
It's not 100% exact.
Yeah.
But it's more that Hermione was a good student.
Yeah.
She studied
like if you're trying
hard.
to explain to somebody the difference between wizard sorcerer using a Harry Potter analogy, then there you go.
One could argue that many of the wizards that gained power by pledging themselves to Voldemort are actually warlocks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And one could argue that somebody like Ron Weasley is a bard.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's much better at enabling other people to do things.
And Snape is just a god.
Snape is a terrible, terrible character.
Best person.
No.
Yep.
Snape.
No, but we're not getting political in here. I don't have the energy.
It's not political. It's just truth.
No, Snape is not a good guy. No, you can't do one good thing and have all of the other crud in your life that you've done be completely washed out.
Of course.
Nope.
We've come back to Illidan Stormrage.
Nope.
Snape is Illidan Stormrage.
Snape is kind of Illidan Stormrage.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except Illidan did it like 5 separate times.
Yes. Yeah. Illidan did redeeming things 5 separate times. But yeah,
did five world-ending things
5 separate times. Yeah.
Before he fixed it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess other notable wizards would include Merlin. Obviously, is like the classical one.
Yeah.
I would argue Gandalf is not actually a wizard.
No, Gandalf is basically an angel.
I don't know. I'd almost argue that Gandalf is some kind of like basically like level 1 cleric.
Oh, dude, he's literally an angel.
Well, I know, but if you were going to represent it with class levels, he'd basically be like a level 1 cleric, and then like 19 levels of fighter.
Yeah, maybe.
He
Lord of the Rings has a very soft magic system.
It's very low magic.
Yeah, it's
Gandalf just kind of does what he needs to when he needs to, and it's never explained like what actual powers he has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just know that all those wizards have like unlimited uses of telekinesis, because they seem to just throw each other around rooms to have wizard battles.
Yep.
But let's see, who else? Jaina Proudmoore.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's a Horde side mage that's renowned. I can't really think of one. They're not really big on the arcane magic outside of Blood Elves, so...
I would say Kael'thas.
Yes! He started out as a wizard. Then he went Warlock.
Then he became so much more.
Sure. Sure. So yeah.
The Horde's much more...
Yeah, they're not...
I guess you would call them... No, what are shamans? What are shamans?
What are shamans? Shamans are... Shamans
are they sorceries? Or are they... They're kind of like a sorcerer druid almost.
Shamans are basically... Well, on the one hand, you could argue that they're like druids. On the other hand, you could argue that they're kind of warlocks with an elemental patron.
Yeah, you're also... I think they're more druid.
Yeah.
Just a very elemental flavored druid.
Yeah. What I would love to see is wizards do, and this is getting a little off topic from with the wizard class, but to have them do other types of druids that forego wild shape, like the spore druid does.
I want a basically enhancement shaman so bad in D&D.
Yeah.
Like
and I think it's tough to you can't really do it very easily right now.
It's hard. I've thought about, like, could you do barbarian and then take some sorcerer, but you can't cast while you're raging, so it would be weird.
Yeah.
It takes like this weird ground, because when I think enhancement, I definitely think like barbarian, dual wielding style
You
fighting.
could argue Oath of the Ancients Paladin.
Maybe. I don't see. This just is me and my perception of the classes. I don't see a paladin dual wielding. You certainly
You
could.
could.
I just don't like. When I picture paladin, I either
Yeah.
picture paladin with a two-hander or sword and board.
Yeah.
Right.
Then we're gonna probably Ranger, actually.
Maybe.
And then what you do is, because Ranger, I think, gets spells that are like elemental weapon. I could be wrong, but basically you just focus on the spells, like entangling strike and stuff like that augment your weapon attacks.
Yep.
At least for enhancement shaman, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and Blood Hunter kind of does it because you get that.
That's true.
Elemental damage on your weapon, but I mean, it's a different flavor.
Yeah. But let's see. I'm trying to think of other notable wizards. What's his name from Buffy? Xander?
I'm not super familiar with Buffy.
Basically, he's like the archivist person that like consults all the rituals and stuff like that. He's like a librarian or whatever. That would be a good example. That would be
Yoda's kind of a wizard.
Yeah.
As far as like,
you could argue that
Jedi, there were some Jedi that were like really good at just using the Force. Although that's more sorcerer, isn't it?
You could argue that a lot of Jedi are Blade Singer wizards.
Yeah.
And some Jedi are Eldritch Knights. And some Jedi are Pact of the Blade Warlocks. I would argue Palpatine is probably a Pact of the Blade Warlock. Yeah. Yep.
Who just loves using Eldritch Blast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever I describe Eldritch Blast in a game, I am just imagining Force Lightning.
Oh, absolutely. That's basically what it's meant to be.
Or Witch Bolt. Witch Bolt, I kind of actually more.
Oh, sorry, no, I was thinking of Witch Bolt.
Yeah,
Witch Bolt is
more.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's tons. I mean, there's all types of fantasy books full of wizards. And then you get into, well, is it inborn or is it like studied? You could say Kavoth is a wizard, kind of.
100%.
That's all studying, right?
Some element of a wizard.
Yeah, it's arcane trickster, maybe a bard. I don't know. He's a
bard.
Bit of everything.
He's
definitely
a bard.
Yeah, definitely a bard. You're right.
Which is a little bit of everything.
Which is a bit of everything.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, I'm forgetting. I mean, obviously, it's a little on the nose since it's actually Dungeons and Dragons property, but the aforementioned Jim Dark Magic of the New Hampshire Dark Magics is a wizard. And one of the great things is when they have guest Holly Conrad on playing Strix. Strix is a sorcerer, and you get the sorcerer versus wizard argument butting heads every time. It doesn't come out as like you didn't practice magic or whatever. Like it just comes naturally. Like you didn't work at this kind of a thing. But you get that tension there because they both are trying to outdo each other with their magic being better. So, yeah. Planeswalkers are largely wizards.
Are they wizards or are they sorcerers?
They're largely wizards.
Are they?
Yeah, just in the breadth of magic that they can cast.
Yeah, I just honestly don't know the Magic the Gathering lore very much.
Yeah, I mean they're basically wizards. It's a little weird because like planeswalking in Magic the Gathering, it's like, you could be a barbarian and still become a planeswalker kind of a thing. So it's
the player is a planeswalker, correct?
The player is a planeswalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why planeswalkers are considered players when you play.
Yes. Yeah.
They're not creatures, they're players.
Yep. So, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week. So, listeners and viewers of the stream, we hope you've enjoyed this. If you would like to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, you can head on down to 8bitadventures.com make sure to do 8-bitadventures.com. If you like that content, such as the 8-Bit Adventures comic, our streams, our shows, please consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Big shout out and thank you to all of our current patrons. Yeah. Our opening theme is One Up by the illustrious Professor Shy Guy. You can check out his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. Before we go, any final thoughts from my wonderful co-hosts?
You should. I hope you have a spooky weekend playing Resident Evil 2. Everybody, you really should. Yes. And if you're looking for an MMO to play Final Fantasy 14. It's largely superior to World of Warcraft in almost every way. That's all I've got to say.
But Josh, is there level 29 Drink PvP?
No, there's not. I haven't done PvP in this.
No PvP?
No, I don't trust it.
How could
I don't
you?
trust it.
All right. Courtney, any final thoughts? Can't hear you.
You're muted.
There we go.
There you go.
I'm good tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Courtney?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. I think you should probably get some sleep.
Yeah. Just a little.
Just a little bit. All right.
Yep.
So with that, folks, have fun, happy gaming, enjoy your pie cake, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night for Let's Go Pikachu.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Farewell.